Hello, everyone, and welcome to Championship Lanes here in Anderson, Indiana for the Indiana Queens. It's all about the ladies today, and Scott Gilmore, PB Hall of Famer Mike Albee with me once again, and thanks for joining me, Mike. I appreciate it.
Good to be here. A little bit of snow and ice out there, but hey, made it.
Wouldn't be a bowling tournament for the state if it wasn't snowing outside. So, but we appreciate it. It might be a little bit cold outside, but it's pretty hot in here because the scores are strong. The ladies are putting on quite a show. And a familiar name up at the top of the leaderboard once again, Shelby New. She shoots 970 for her 4-game score, and she leads comfortably by only 8 pins, though, over Jacqueline Rhoda, who shot 962. But Shelby, a past champion in 2020, and just came up one spot short of that repeat. She lost to Alexis Carter in 2021. So familiar name at the top of the leaderboard once again.
Yeah, and even though she's had solid tournaments here and all that, it's not a given. But boy, she come out with 279 in the first game and kind of let everybody know she's ready to win one again.
They're bowling on the Stonehenge pattern here at Championship Lanes, and Stonehenge is more one of the kind of sport patterns on the Kegel series, but it's not really super difficult. So we do expect scores to be relatively high, but still, you're looking at only plus 66 right now in 16th place. That's our cut. The top 16 ladies will come back and bowl single-game matches, double elimination. And so really right there, that you're only talking, plus or 217 or so average, somewhere around there.
It is, but in 4 games, 4 games you catch a bad pair, a bad break, and you shoot 180, and boy, you got to shoot a big one to get back in it. And, not a lot of room for error.
Well, and when you just made that comment, you quickly look at one score, and that's Michelle Irwin, who was 111 or 12 over after 3 games, and she shoots 150 her fourth game, and she sits now at plus 71. And I'm not so sure, Mike, that gets in.
Yeah, it's going to be close, and obviously she went from probably being able to maybe take a break here and not have to bowl the shift if she didn't want to, but now she's back out there obviously to make sure she can get herself in there. But yeah, you didn't see many of those 150s out there, but even if you catch a pair where you can't carry and you shoot a 2-0, I mean, all of a sudden you're behind a little bit, and you got to get out there. And when you start having to strike, then that's when it becomes really difficult.
Right. And there are some big scores. Well, Shelby New starts out with the front 7, shoots 279, and then you said we're watching Courtney Hildreth, who shot 299 game 3.
Wow, it was a great game. I mean, 11 just, there was no doubt. And then a little bit high on the last one for a 4-pin, but could have went, almost carried it off the wall. And, great game, 299.
All right, join us in the chat if you'd like. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us where you're from, where you're watching from, who you're interested in checking out. And our TV pairs today will be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Nice grouped here down on the low end of the house. And Mike, we got a lot of big names bowling this weekend, but we also have a lot of big names watching as well.
It's quite the field, and like I said, we've got some stars here.
Well, right before this squad started, Jeff Circle announced a record number of entries this year, 131 entries. That is fantastic.
That's 30-some more, I think, than they've ever had. So, yeah, tremendous. And like I said, the weather was a little dicey this morning where a few of the girls weren't able to get here on time, and then they're bowling this shift. So, it's exciting news.
And one of those bowlers really we feel like has a great chance to maybe win this, and that's Natalie Tackett, E.J. Tackett's wife. They had a hard time getting down here. The roads were a little slick. It snowed a little more than we expected in the area. But she made it down for this squad, and she's a threat every time she laces them up, too.
Yeah, she throws the ball very well, and had a good showing, I think, last year. And it was kind of good to see her get out there. And I think she just cut a couple bad breaks and got knocked out in the end. But, now she's got to get some scores out here because I got a feeling it's going to keep going up.
Well, give you an idea of a few players that might be a little more familiar to you. On 7 and 8 is Tandis O'Neill, and she's a past Indiana High School state champion. She's on 7 and 8. Cassandra Mize, a past bowler for Purdue University, is on 7 and 8 too as well. So a lot of talented ladies here this weekend. And, of course, you just look at the leaderboard. Shelby New, a 2020 champion. Monica Hall Mills, the 2018 champions, in third. Samantha New, Shelby's sister, who took Shelby to the wire in 2020. She's in the top 10. She's in sixth. You have Michelle Irwin, who bowled so well the last 2 years, is knocking on the door of winning one of these. She's in there in the top 16. So you have a lot of talented ladies. You have a lot of talented ladies just on the outside looking in. Jenny Ferguson, she kind of struggled a little bit in the first squad. She only went +8. And Alexis Carter, surprisingly, struggled mightily in that first squad. She's a 2019 and 2021 champion. There's only been 3 ladies, I believe, win this tournament twice. She's one of them, and she only went 758 -42. So a little surprise here. But there's some ladies here that we watched, Mike. You and I made a comment about that really just wow you. Ashley Jackson is one who really throws a tremendous ball.
Yeah, I watched her down on the high end, and what a powerful release. And she's going to throw a lot of pins around there. I was surprised she didn't, hit a little higher this morning. But, yeah, she's definitely one of those. If she gets in match play, she can go a long ways.
Yeah, she shot 867 in her first qualifying squad, and I know she signed up bowling this one again. And then another one that surprises me, too, that struggled a little bit more than I would have guessed, and that's Kayla Bird. She has got a strong strike ball, too, as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's there's several bowlers out there that have the release to win, and I think they can win at any time. A lot of it's just confidence. You just get in there, and once you get yourself going and get the confidence, it can carry all the way to the end.
Another bowler that's bowling this squad that throws it really well, too, is Jerica Gray. She had an up-and-down qualifying squad. Her scores, she went 245 her first game, and then 167 and 237 and 180. And but she has a strong strike ball too as well, and she's also a coach for the Marion Girls University team, bowling team. So she has a lot of experience too. So we'll see what she can do in this 1 p.m. squad. Actually, more like 2 p.m. we need to change our graphic, Chad.
Don't reset your clocks.
Yeah, we're
in Indiana, but
yeah, we're not on
today.
Central Time.
But by the entry form, this is the 1 p.m. squad.
All right, I guess we'll give you that one.
But this one should go pretty quick. It looks like he has 3 bowlers on a pair, pretty much all the way down. So
yeah, they're using almost the entire house.
Yeah, we should make up some time.
Yeah, and I think that was the plan. I think he's trying to keep things moving right along and try to keep these ladies ready. So really, Samantha and Jacqueline Rhoda, who are not bowling, and they don't really need to.
Yeah.
And when you shoot plus 170, 162, they're going to sit back, watch the squad, probably get a bite to eat. These ladies are going to go right from this qualifying squad almost right into match play. And people talk about the scores. The men bowl the Masters. The pattern's very challenging. Scores are extremely low. Matter of fact, they were low. They had the lowest qualifying total to get in the top 48 this year than ever at -6. Now you see the ladies, and we're talking about +80, maybe +90, barely getting in, right? And they asked, should you make them harder for the women? And I like the scoring pace. I think we want to see the ladies strike, put on a great show. They always do. They have the last few years here. I'm okay with what we have out on the lanes.
I mean, I think it's no matter what the pace is, you got to bowl good.
Right.
So you play what is ever out on the lanes and do that. So it's sometimes, I think even the scores as they get tougher, we don't know how they're going to break down after we get going in a match play when they start bowling, a little bit different moving and you can't practice, in between games. And so I think the pace is good, but I think you'll still see the same players at the top, whether it's high or low. I think if you're a good bowler, you're a good bowler. You find a way.
All right, in the chat room, hey, want to welcome Zach Weidman watching. Zach, obviously related to Tandis O'Neill, and Zach, he's going to be busy next week. He's going to be bowling in the PBA stop at Kokomo.
Well, hopefully he's taking it easy today and not working in the shop, right?
I'm sure he's working.
Yeah, I'm sure he is too.
Got several people watching Tandis. Kylie Trexler, name sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Sure does. Recently, very.
Absolutely.
Wow, what a great event she had last week. Awesome.
Our
state champion.
Yeah, our singles state champion for
Well
this year in
deserved,
high school
yeah.
bowling in the state of
Well deserved.
Indiana. And we're going to use the user ID name of Bourbon Barber from Greenfield, also watching Tandis O'Neill. So Tandis got a little bit of pressure on her here with all these fans watching. She's off to really a good start here. Spare, strike, spare, double.
She had a very consistent round this morning. It was like 183, 184, 182, 181. I mean, she was all over the 180s, but yeah, off to a good start. Clean with a double, working.
Yeah, and she knows. You know what you need to do now.
Yeah.
You got to figure out a way to shoot a big game. And the old announcer, Jinx,
good shot.
Give her
good
a compliment, and she leaves a 7-pin.
Yeah, good shot, though.
Spares are important, but strikes
yeah.
are the name of the game here for the ladies.
I think if she's got that look on every pair, she'll be fine. Just a matter of carrying a few, getting a few breaks there. But that was a good shot.
Well, I appreciate that, Zach. Make sure you drill my ball up exactly the way I want it. It's got to strike a lot, so I need a lot of help. So
that's a standard customer, though, probably for every pro shop operator.
I always love the old. So what do you want your ball to do? Well, I want it to go way down the lane and hook a lot at the back end.
And strike.
And knock them all down. You don't always want that as far as the old go forever and make a boomerang
I like a little more
shape.
mid-lane
Yeah.
hook, something a little more predictable.
A little more rolly.
Yeah, a little predictable.
Get a nice roll. Cassandra Mize there with the strike on lane 7. We got front 5 here on lane 6. And it's so exciting to look down, Mike, at the entire bowling center, and you see lane after lane after lane with the top ladies in the state of Indiana trying to claim the Queens Championship here. And it's a glorious sight because, to me, it shows the sport is growing. Even on the ladies' side, we see it with the youth in the high school bowling, but now, and of course, the Masters has record numbers every year for entries, and it's great to see the women go in the same direction.
Yeah, and you got to feel like high school bowling's been a big part of that as well, because there's something to continue on and bowl, and it just continues to swell the ranks. And but yeah, there's a great field today.
Also want to thank Christopher Ressler watching the broadcast. He's checking out Angie and Natalie Tackett. Well, I'm not exactly sure where Natalie is, but eventually, if things work out, she'll finish somewhere down here possibly. They will skip, I think, 3 pairs of lanes. Are they skipping 5 this squad?
I think he said skip 5.
Bowl on the 6. So they'll definitely make their way down. And that's a great, that sounds like a lot, Mike, but it's really important to make sure a player sees every section of the house, right?
Cover the house, yeah. Especially in a 4-game format. I mean, if you never see a certain part of the house in 4 games, it's just not fair, not right. And Jeff does a tremendous job of getting things set up, and he's a bowler himself, so he knows what is required and needed to have a great tournament.
Well, we have the Queens this weekend, and we have an off weekend next. How about that?
Chad likes that. Yeah. I'm sure you guys all do, because you guys go through quite the setup and teardown. I mean, you guys do a tremendous job with all the cameras and the wires, and I mean, it's just a phenomenal job that you guys do. Getting this on the air, let alone the pre-work and the post-work.
It's a lot of short, long days, short nights.
Yeah, and then at the end, it's usually a bunch of league bowlers that are trying to get you out of here quick.
Yes, we're in their territory.
Yeah, and be honest with you, we want to get out of here too.
Yeah.
but it takes a while sometimes to. You want to make sure everything goes back in the way it should, because the next time you go set it up, you're not cussing at yourself thinking, what was I doing this,
Well, we had that today with the cable. We were like, how did this get this way? I was like, well, we rushed out.
No, don't blame me. I helped last week, so don't blame me.
Well, it's that, and you don't want anything to be broken. And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you guys have quite the investment here, so it's very understandable that you'd want to be careful.
But we have an off week, and then we're going to be back in Kokomo on the 26th. Is that right, Chad?
That's right.
For the Indiana High School All-State Tournament. I think you have to qualify for that. We don't know who all will attend, but we'll be there for that. That's going to be a 3-game qualifier, I believe, for both the girls and the boys, and then we'll have a stepladder final for each. So if you're looking for some more bowling, hang out with us there. We'll be there on the 26th. Chad and I will be in Kokomo on Monday for the PBA Tour stop. We're going to visit Heritage Lanes for that. We'll try to have some interviews and some special things with the guys from the practice day. PTQ will be going on. We'll be in there for the tail end of that, and then we'll try to talk to all of our favorite guys, maybe get a word in with because really it's a stacked field.
It's everybody. It's a
limited field, but it's stacked. That's the amazing thing about it.
And we got 4 or 5 of those guys sitting right here in this bowling center.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. We have, of course, Ronnie Russell's here watching his wife, Michelle, bowl. EJ's watching his wife, Natalie, bowl. Wesley Lowe is here. AJ Johnson is here. So a lot of big names. They're hanging out because what else do you do, right? I mean, you hang out in a bowling center, right?
Yeah, you got to be in a bowling alley.
Well, they're supporting Motive. Motive is sponsoring this tournament, too. So, obviously, Ronnie's not with them, but the rest of the guys are.
Yeah.
And our host, Dave Small's here as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't forget about Dave.
Well, we're gonna have to get a word in with Angie here on the old chocolate chip cookies. I'm surprised you haven't sent a message to her yet, Chad, for that.
Yeah, Angie, if you're watching, we need cookies. I didn't see any down there when we ordered lunch, so.
That's where you guys went. You didn't tell me that. Yeah, if you want a good place to go eat, it is not only Championship Lanes, but all Dave Small centers do a great job in the food and beverage.
Well, and they're wonderful hosts. They really do a great job of taking care of the center, and you as well, Mike, at your center. You love the tournaments, and I know as a proprietor you love the open bowling, right? But it's great to see centers support tournament bowling because this is kind of where the sport begins in my mind.
I mean, even growing up for me, I mean, when I first got on tour, I mean, bowling, what draws you to bowling is the fact that you can play it or do it however you want to do it. It can be recreational, it can be competitive. It's how you want to take it, and that's what I thought was so intriguing about our industry.
Well, some pairs are getting down late into the game. We're getting into that 8th and 9th frame. Got a good game here on lane 5 going. 179 in the 7th with a spare in the 8th. Working on a 230 pace. Cassandra Mize with the 3-6-10 on lane 8 here. If she makes that, she'll have 180 in the 8th with the spare in the 9th. Hopefully that away, Cassandra. Don't let me jinx you.
Good spare.
And, of course, Tandis O'Neill can strike out for 225. And really, if you do 225 a game, Mike, 100 over should get you in, I would think.
Yeah, so the 10th frame is very big.
So it's not like you have to strike every frame. 225 is a reasonable average for these players. I'm sure in league, a lot of these ladies average, in the mid to upper teens, maybe even the 220s. So we're not out of the realm of normalcy from that standpoint.
Yeah, I think as far as the number goes on this round, because remember the top handful are sitting out, so the numbers on this squad may seem a little bit lower because we've taken out some of the best players in the state already because they're already probably going to make the field. So the numbers on this squad could be a little different.
Tandis there with a weak 10. Now
she was all around the pocket this game, just couldn't quite get that angle in there to get those 10s and those 7s out.
Well, you make this and get a good fill, and you shoot a 2-0 game. That's a lot better than the start you had in the last squad. You're 20 pins up on where you started, so you got to look for every positive,
yes.
right? And knowing you're around the pocket. Clean 197 on lane 3. Boy, that's always a lot of 9s. Matter of fact, 1, 2, 3, 4 9s in a row.
I think that was Jerica Gray, I believe.
Boy, there's nothing more
She's
frustrating.
all around the pocket. Yeah, I mean, she's all around the pocket.
Just can't knock 10 down. Now, I will say from past experience, we're in the tighter section of the center. They'll go right, and they'll get a little more hook as you proceed to go down to the high end of the house.
Well, and they were freshly oiled. I mean, the minute they were done oiling, practice started. So it's one of those things where they are fresh, ready to go, and I think 5 minutes of practice, and now we're actually in the qualifying.
And a 7-count fill, 2:02 start for Tandis here, and Cassandra Mize looking at an open in the 10th with the 6-7-10, and she had a clean game going.
She's going to shoot it. Oh, good try.
Takes just the 10 off for a 2:05 start. And that's the one where you just kind of, it frustrates you when you're trying to get every pin you possibly can. But here's the difficulty of bowling the second squad and not the first, is you know what you have to shoot, right?
Yeah, that can hurt a little bit sometimes if you're scoreboard watching, which, you really don't want to scoreboard watch. You want to just take it one frame at a time and do all you can do and keep your head down and make good shots. But, on this end, I mean, we're looking here, looks like, probably the first, 4 or 5 pairs here. It looks, well, there's a 223, but, I mean, it's a lot of 190s and 2-0s. I mean, it doesn't look like they're hitting them here. There may be a 230 in front of us possibly, but well, not seeing what we saw the first round.
So let me ask you this. When you strip and re-oil more than once, you're probably going to see maybe a little tighter lane condition as you go, because it's hard to get everything off, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it is. I mean, it's all done by the machine, so, you would think it would be the same, but the machine's going to change every time, too. The line adjuster, all those things aren't going to be the same as they were before. So, I mean, it's theoretically, yes, it could be. Yeah, for sure.
Well, in 9 and 10, as Chad and I were watching the first squad, 9 and 10 was probably the pair down here that had the highest scores on it. And you look right now, and you got 145, 195, and 190. We had a game where there's 4 ladies bowling. The lowest score was 234. And
yeah, we've got one less bowler on a lane, on a pair of lanes. Plus, I mean, let's face it all depends on how the practice goes and who's trying new equipment in different parts of the lane that might be moving things around a little bit. So,
well, and too, you get 10 minutes of practice on your starting pair. It's always important to develop something in that, right? You want to try to open up a little area, maybe throw a dollar ball in the first 6-7 minutes, and then move.
That can work good or bad. I mean,
right.
It depends what you're peeling off of that urethane, how much you're taking away out of there. But yeah, I mean, that's going to dictate a lot into how the rest of the round goes.
Well, and we were talking too. Kevin McCune joined us in the broadcast booth in this first squad for a game. And so many times now, what you're seeing on tour, these guys are throwing urethane to start because they want to push the oil down as much as they can. So they have a little bit of push, right? Yeah. And then they immediately change. And it's hard to fathom
how that works. Yeah.
The game plan and strategies in the past. Usually it used to be you would throw so much surface to kind of blow up a spot, and then you would swing to that spot, right? So it's amazing how things change as the equipment has evolved.
Well, and your plan may not be the same plan as the next person on that pair of lanes with you.
Right.
So, you may just kind of stalemate yourself and not get anything developed. So,
right.
Yeah, it's quite different. So you have to be ready for all occasions as it develops.
All right, ladies are finishing up game 1. We have just a couple of games to finish here in our area. And as you know, too, the challenge lies in this. You move off your pair and you go to the next, and it's not always like what you're coming off of. So you got to move and adjust quickly, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's so important how you make that first shot physically. You want to make a good shot. whether it's in the right part of the lane or not, as it turns out, it's more important that you throw a good, clean shot so that you can make that adjustment off of it. Last thing you need to do is make a bad shot, so now you don't know, was it the lane or was it the shot I made? So you've basically, now you've got to come back on the third frame when you bowl in that lane again and hope that you make another good, so you're lined up. You're giving away a frame if you don't make a good shot. That's why it's so important to know what your game is.
Right.
Because there's a lot of good bowlers, they just don't know how to read off their game.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And, I'm watching, and most of these ladies are all playing in the same area of the lane. A lot of them are playing up the lane on the outside.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's
only a couple. A couple.
There's only a handful of girls in here that you're really going to see probably open things up. Ashley Jackson, Kayla Bird, they really has the rev rate in order to play in and swing.
Yeah, their ball makes a different shape.
Yeah, impressive.
Yes.
And that's
really
no knock on any. It's just,
no.
It's amazing to watch. Looks like we have Natalie Tackett down here near us. Looks like she's going to be just off the TV pair, I think. She's somewhere. She's standing right in between 10 and 11.
So she must, yeah.
So she either goes left, or if she goes left, she's on the TV pair. If she goes right, she's right off to the
she
side.
had to be right on probably the last pair or so there on the house, on the high end.
Nice to see a few Lafayette bowlers. We have Jennifer Pruitt and Katrina Sharp bowling here from Lafayette. That's always nice. They both bowl at your facility there and at Arrowhead.
And we appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. You have just what I think is a great mixture of ladies. You see some veterans out here, and then you also see some of the really young girls that are just done with high school that are bowling college and want to come out here and take a chance on this tournament. And Jenny Ferguson stepping up here on lane number 10. She's won this tournament twice, 2009 and 2011, I believe. And she comes in light and leaves the 7-pin. She struggled in the first squad this morning. She struggled by her standards.
Good ball speed.
She only plus 8.
Ball speed.
She had one of those up and down squads. She shot 226, 160, 220.
Yeah.
Got to avoid the low games here.
Yeah, one game can really hurt you when you only are bowling 4. So.
Well, sure enough, Natalie Tackett is on 11 and 12. She's going to come out just to the right, far right of your screen on lane 12. Leaves a flat 7 there.
I think the scheduling's Chad's fault, isn't it?
When in doubt, blame Chad.
Yeah. Don't let him touch the dials over here.
Oh, of course. Zach Weidman, he needs work on drilling my ball up. He's over here giving me a hard time in the chat room here. Have I ever thrown a sanded bowling ball? When have I thrown something shiny?
I'd say I remember back in the day we screened something 180 grit.
Well, that's based on right now down in Louisville, Kentucky is the Bradley Open.
You need a screen.
And if you've never bowled the Bradley Open, it is the tightest lane condition you'll ever see. It's almost like you play a fade at the head pin because your ball never seems to pick up a roll. And we always sanded stuff like crazy down there. And
that's where the proprietor wants you to come back when they resurface the lanes later. Yeah, when you throw that fade, though, you got to make sure you get at least 3/4 of the back row.
When I watch the old PBA telecast,
yeah.
It looks like all of them are fading.
A lot of fade, yeah.
Even
when they had the urethane when it came out, it was like watching, and when you see those shows, it's like, wow, I could have swore I hooked it more than that.
Yeah. You're waiting for it to what they call flip, and the ball just never does that.
No, it was not until the Excalibur came out.
Boy,
that a true flip happened.
Yeah, Mark McDowell made that a winner right away, didn't he?
He sure did, yeah. Marshall Holman would attest to that. He was on the end.
He didn't like it very well either.
Yeah.
Marshall Holman, he's probably lucky social media wasn't prevalent. He wasn't a bad guy, but he was just so competitive fire.
Yeah, there's two Marshalls, one on the lanes and one off the lanes. Marshall was one of the friendliest and is one of the friendliest guys there is. I mean, when he's not out there competing, I mean, he was so intense in what he did. Mm-hmm. But off the lanes, I mean, he's a great guy. I mean, it's when I won my first title. I mean, I'm bowling him the first game of match play on Friday night, the last round, and he's talked to me like, "Hey, you're throwing the ball really well. You look good. You'll be fine tonight. Just go out there and do this and that." And afterwards, he's unfortunately I was able to win that game, and he said, "Hey, good luck to you. You'll do fine." And after I won that week, the next week he comes up and congratulates me, and just he's a totally different guy. And most bowlers are. Mm-hmm. When they're on there, when it counts and all that, it's a different
right.
person. Which it should be. I mean, that's your livelihood. Right. That's your game.
Absolutely.
That's how you stay intent.
Right.
But when things are relaxing more, you don't. He's the same way on the golf course. He's a great golfer. Great golfer. So, but yeah, Marshall's one of the good ones.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest with you, Mike, a very underrated commentator for bowling too. I thought Marshall did a really good job on.
And he's
on
so
telecast.
knowledgeable. He's so knowledgeable, but he speaks from the heart. Mm-hmm. And he's not out there just throwing fluff. He's telling it like he sees it. And
right.
That's a great knack to have.
Well, and you probably more familiar. There was a lot of talk that Marshall got suspended from the PBA on what was really, they said probably was nothing he did wrong, but it was what happened, and it was the perception of what happened.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it was a doubles event, and Marshall kind of had the tournament in his hands there in the 10th frame, if I remember the exact part of it. But he leaves the bucket, and 6 count, and it's Mark Roth and Marshall Holman bowling for the title, and they're bowling Pete Couture and Tommy Hudson, and Marshall leaves the bucket, and he kicks at the foul light cover, not the center capping. It was the ones on the side, the smaller capping, and he kind of kicks at it. Well, he catches it, and it comes off a little bit. Doesn't go flying down the lane or anything, but it comes ajar, I guess is a better term. And of course, the foul light goes off, and it continues to go off. And what made it even worse was, and it's kind of, I'm sure Marshall's not laughing at it, but it's kind of funny afterwards if you think, because it's ajar, and the buzzer just keeps buzzing. And so now they got to wait for the mechanic to come out of the back to fix that, and all he does is come back and straightens it out because there's no screw in it. So it wasn't screwed in. So if it was screwed in, it would have never happened. It would have never happened. So it's
the perception of, and then it delayed the telecast.
And delayed the telecast. I mean, it looked a heck of a lot worse than it really was. As you know, you can watch any parts of a tournament, you can see all sorts of things that probably are conduct violations. But
yeah,
it was the time and place that it happened. And Marshall had already had a few other incidents where he had been fined or whatever, and so I think you add those together, and Joe Antonor decided that's the route to take. So
yeah,
and it was a big penalty. I mean, I think it was 8 weeks. I think that's what it was.
Wow.
And that's a lot of money. Even though it was a summer tour, that's a lot of money, especially when you're one of the top 5 guys.
Yeah. Back in those days, Marshall was a threat to win every week.
Every week. And what a game. I mean, I can't think of anybody that had a long slide like that. And with today's approaches, I'm not so sure
you could do that.
You would even learn to do that. So you could see once synthetics came in, gosh, if it's too slick, my gosh, you couldn't get stable. And if you stick, then you got knee problems. So I'm not sure anybody could learn that way now.
Well, and two, to be honest with you, the wood made that, but the shoes back then didn't have the aggressive heels, the aggressive slide soles on them to where it helps slow you down a little bit even.
Well, and the amount of power that Marshall would create without having that plant and then rip through it, it was just all so fluid. He got his motion from his approach and fluidness, and he was just a phenomenal player. I mean, I was always a big John McEnroe fan, and Marshall was kind of like that. I mean, he had that intensity that you just didn't make that up. I mean,
And nothing beats the 70s Marshall Holman hair either.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, you look at the tournament champions in the mid-'70s. I mean, he bowls, I think, Billy Hardwick for the title. And you talk about contrasting styles. I mean, Billy kind of like carries the ball up there, and he's got like the slot grip in the fingers, and and he's leading. And here's this brash Marshall who's just smacking everything off and giving you the glare, and it was great TV.
Right. Well, and I think the tour did such a great job really showcasing the personalities of all these guys too, and really, to be honest with you, we talked about Sean Rash and what he did, right? Sure, probably what he did wasn't the best thing. However, is there anything wrong though, Mike, with having guys you don't like and having guys you do like, where you have? It's like it's like if professional wrestling, even though we know it's staged, if they don't have good and bad,
that's what it's about. Yeah, that's
right. So what's wrong with having a bad guy?
Well,
right?
I think people,
and I don't mean Sean Rash is a bad guy.
No, not at all. But same way, I'm sure Marshall, when people bowled him in the pro-am, it's like people are awful honest when they bowl with you in a pro-am. So
right.
I'm sure it was difficult at times. But yeah, no, people have people they like to root against, and they'll watch just because of that.
Right.
They'll also watch because it's a guy they like. So yeah, you got to have them both. I mean, and it's all personality.
Right.
I mean, it's just all personality. And when they watched him, I mean, they could have, if they watched Marshall or they watched me or they watched somebody at the wrong time, they might not like you. They might not like you.
Well, and there's some that say that's the problem with bowling, that there's not what you would really state, and I don't mean good or bad, but the rivalries, the guys, a lot of people enjoyed watching, because we know there's no love lost for Jason Belmonte and Sean Rash, right?
Oh, I tuned in for that.
But they want to see those two bowl each other, right? Because they know there's no love lost between the two, right?
Yeah, and the thing about bowling is, I mean, it's not like tennis to where who's going to be in the the championship match at the end. It's usually 1 versus 2.
Right.
Where bowling is kind of spread out. I mean, we've got a lot of things that that carry over into how they get to that point. So, you just don't. When you made the top 5, I mean, I made right at 90 shows, I think, in my career, 25 years or whatever. So, I mean, it's a small percentage. So you just don't get on TV enough for people to see that and to build that. So, we were lucky in the ABC television days that they actually had time, and we got bowling in an hour and a half. There was time to actually they would always have a segment where they might have taken you out, to a different part and did some, personal stuff, or they were at home, they come to your house and shoot and they would show those when you made the show.
Right.
They'd have them in the can and they'd show them. Or they do an opening. I remember doing the one for Miami, which was so much fun. It was myself and Palmer Falgren. There was like 3 or 4, Steve Neff. So we got to go out on a yacht and float around the water, and then they had us on the golf course, and it was just this whole, like 3 or 4 minute piece that they put together with us.
That took all day, right?
Yeah, it did. And then they'd show at the beginning of the show. So people got to know you because of those. Right. But they did that for every sponsored event. So you see a lot of those.
Right, yeah.
And then the bowlers got slower. And then then they didn't have the time anymore. Right. Or if the scores aren't high, which they're not dictating that. So if the scores are low, then man, you start bowling through commercials, and that's the last thing they ever want to do is bowl through a commercial.
Right. Well, and it does allow you guys to showcase your personality, and let's face it, the reason why we are open to certain sports, whether it's football, golf, you learn more about the player individually, right? And sometimes I feel like today's PBA, they don't really allow those things to happen as much as what they should, because that's what's going. Bowling you're always interested to see what happens in a bowling tournament, but we need to learn more about the individual player, because that could pull more people into as well, in my opinion.
Well, I think they're trying to create that, which they had an opportunity last year, during the pandemic, to where they weren't really able to do a lot of qualifying, so they had the opportunity to handpick players.
Right.
And so they were able to create a little bit, and that's why even back when I bowled, they had they had points lists, and you got on that way. So the fields were limited, trying to help create more stars, which it's easier said than done. I mean, it's obviously, even when you pick the guys or the girls, it doesn't mean they're going to make it. I mean, so it's a hard one on when you only have a certain amount of time on television. We're here, we have an opportunity to do a little more talking, and even some of the flow bowling stuff, there's more time to expand on what's happening.
Yeah, that's one thing, and I'll be honest, I'm not a subscriber to flow bowling. I felt like at the beginning they did a better job talking to players more, but they've gotten away from that a little bit more. And sometimes, if it's going, and I think it's about getting away from the bowling center. What are these guys doing outside of the lanes that may be unique? Like in your case, you're a huge fan of hockey, and you have your own rink, and you host so many hockey tournaments. A lot of people might not know that, right? What else? You collect.
I drive the Zamboni every now and then.
Yeah, you collect memorabilia,
Yes.
and you're involved with the bowling museum, but you also have a passion for history of the sport that you keep at home. Learning more about those things, to me, rather than great, these guys are really good at bowling, but what else can I like, right?
Yeah.
Right? And we don't do enough of that, in my opinion.
No, I think that the family life would show a lot. I mean, you talk Sean Rash. I mean, he's got a beautiful family of three girls. I mean, it's just there's so many things they could do, and I think, as you know, it's probably a lot of it is time.
Right.
It's
time
money.
And money. Right.
Time and money. Yeah. I mean, that's. But I think we're getting to this opportunity where you have bowl TV, and you've got flow bowling. You got all these. We're starting to get more things than we had before.
Right.
So. But it's a crowded area out there in sports.
Yeah, it really is. But it's great to see, for example, like Fox jumping all over the PBA. And obviously, you can thank Rob Stone for that, whether you like him or not. He was a big proponent in getting the PBA Tour on Fox. It's nice to have a product that doesn't necessarily throw you up against the NFL and all these major sporting events to where, you still have decent numbers, but now you kind of showcase the bowling
there's
away
some
from
events.
that.
I mean, there's some different events. You have the Chris Paul event. There's these other events that they've had that are a little different, but it's it's continued to be on TV and be out there. And even Fox will throw bowling up against things only because they don't throw it as a sacrificial lamb. They throw it up there because they know what they can get out of it.
Right.
So. And it looks good on TV. They do a great job with that. So, bowling has got a little bit different feel to it now. It's a professional feel. It's not that it wasn't when ABC television, because everybody knew Saturday afternoons. I mean, all that.
Yeah, 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
I can tell you right now.
Yeah.
I had the VCR. If I wasn't there, think about this: a VCR,
Yeah, VCR.
set to record.
VCR would be a taped deal, right? You need to explain that VCR.
I mean, we still say that. I taped the show. Wait a minute.
It's a video cassette recorder.
Yeah. I DVR'd the show or whatever now, right? And I always love when you go back to old game shows and the contestant wins a video cassette recorder. Yes. Like that's supposed to be great now.
I had one of the first ones, and my sister worked for RCA, and that thing, my goodness, it was heavy and it was huge. I mean, it was just unbelievable. I had all these, because actually I had a camera to watch my bowling, so, when I was practicing. So we had this huge camera, and you had like all these cables. I mean, my gosh, it wasn't worth the time to put it up.
And they were so big.
They were huge.
Big and bulky,
huge,
right?
Huge. I still have the camera system.
Now you have these little
it was color even.
Yeah.
That was like 1979.
Now you have these little tiny cameras, and they take these little SD cards, and they can store hours upon hours on it.
Forget that. My iPhone will work.
I know, yeah. You're the iPhone.
I just set that up behind me when I'm practicing.
You practice?
When I practice.
When do you practice?
Well, I'm going to start next week. Look at me.
Yeah.
Your laptop's going to start next week.
What are you practicing for?
Well, I got the USBC Open Championships was coming up next month. We bowled the opening squad.
And the next thing he's going to tell us is he's going to be bowling the PBA 50 this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not telling you that. No, I have to practice because I'm liable to tear something if I don't.
When are you bowling? When are the exact dates?
We are bowling March the 14th. And if that's a Saturday, it's at 7:00. And then Sunday, I believe, is the.
Don't you always bowl the opening weekend?
We do, yeah. I'm sorry, it's probably I don't know. It's like whatever that weekend is, 13th, 14th.
Somewhere around there. You got to look now.
I got to look, because otherwise I'll miss my flight. So.
Well, you got the right color shirt on.
But anyway, so I practice. Yes, today anyway. But I practice because, I mean, I might, tear an ACL, a rotator cuff. I mean, it's all about making sure I don't get injured.
Yeah, yeah. What's the over-under on your score?
Oh, God, I'll take 1,800, just not even show up.
And what's in your arsenal?
I don't know yet. I go to the garage. If it fits, it goes.
All right.
That's how I play. But now I do. My doubles partner is Bill Chrisman, the owner of Storm, so it's always Storm. So
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were always a big Brunswick guy, right?
Oh,
So
Brunswick, Columbia, I used it all, but
it's a thunderstorm.
I'm a team guy.
Yeah. Bill doesn't send you anything?
Yeah, they usually do. Yeah, they usually do. We are bowling on the 13th and no, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. We are bowling on the 12th and the 13th.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Bill's like, hey, please throw this.
No, he doesn't.
He wants a
doesn't
chance,
worry
right?
about me. He bowled. Yeah. Last year we had Tim Mack. They were watching, so he was helping Bill get lined up. So I switched to 14 last year because I hadn't bowled in 2 years since the previous, Open Championship that they let us bowl. So I hadn't bowled them. So I thought, I better go down just so I can get through. And we bowled. Now, my brother-in-law Steve Cook's on one team, so there's 10 of us that go. So Steve Cook, it's always good to see Steve. So he's bowling on the other team. So we have like 10 guys.
You and Steve have a little competition there?
No, not at all.
We're
the same way. We just try to get out there without getting hurt.
I can't believe you two aren't bowling doubles together.
I don't think they allow that.
Oh.
Too many titles together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Mike, that's like 40 years ago.
That's why I agree. I saw a debate on Facebook the other day about that, about Mal Acosta. If you remember Mal Acosta, who won several titles on the tour, won the bowl with his son. Well, they were trying to figure out what the rules are this year, so I don't know what the rules are either.
Come on.
Yeah. Well, we always wanted to bowl. It was Steve Cook, myself, Steve Martin, who won the U.S. Open, 1980 Open, Bob Hanley, who's got 7 or 8 titles, and then Randy Lightfoot, who from St. Louis, who won. Because we always got along, always kind of roomed together and traveled together, so we thought we'd always want to bowl together. We were going to bowl the Classic Division. Well, in 1979 was the last year of the Classic Division, and it never came back, so we never got to bowl together.
Well, and I get it. You guys are Hall of Famers, and Mike, you've won everything there's possibly to win on when it comes to the PBA Tour. But that's a long
time ago. Yeah.
And it's obviously not a knock against you, but it's a situation where you're not bowling competitively anymore. And
yeah, as I put it, it's not about the Eagles anymore.
Yeah.
It's about the memories.
Right.
And that's why I do it. It's all about that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And we do have fun. I mean, bowling gets us to be there, and
right.
and it's about the dinners and hanging out.
Well, Scott Gilmore, Mike Albee here in the broadcast booth, and players are finishing up game number 2. Looking around,
there's a 246 to the left, which is the best game I've seen down here so far.
Yeah, and
a lot of 390s it looks like here. So we haven't seen anywhere near what we saw the first round.
Yeah, I do know Jennifer Pruitt shot 221 her second game. I see a 225, but nothing really.
Not down here anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, big. I don't know. I'm looking at Natalie Tackett. She opened, it looks like, in the 7th, but it's got maybe a double working here. No, actually, that's not her. She's really struggling. Yeah. She's going to have 150. She has a chance to shoot maybe a 190 score here. So, scores are a little bit tougher in this squad, or it seems to be. We're not seeing what's down on the other end or the high end of the house, but based on the first squad, you had to average about 220 to put yourself in position in order to feel safe going into that top 16 cut, which we'll get right after this squad is done. And shortly after that, we'll be starting match play here, single game, double elimination, just like we do for the Masters for the men. And, of course, the ladies bowling on Stonehenge, a little bit softer of a pattern, and I'm okay with it. I want to see the women strike. And they always put on a heck of a show.
I mean, softer. I mean, I guess it's softer, but you still got to throw the ball well to score. And,
absolutely.
And obviously, we're still seeing, some lower games. So, it's all about finding that right angle, no matter what. I mean, you still get to the point where they're hitting. There's some pocket. They're hitting the pocket, but they're just not getting the carry that we see.
Well, we hope you're enjoying the broadcast so far here on Savage Bowling TV. We want to thank our sponsors. We can't thank them enough for making this broadcast possible. We want to thank Pinheads Bowling and Entertainment in Fishers. Big Four socks.
Just picked up some new ones?
Yeah. Matter of fact, Dave Slavin is right here behind us, right behind this screen here. He's just right over there. If you are in the neighborhood, stop by. He's got them for sale. I think he's got a little discount maybe too here today. I want to thank Motive Bowling for all their contributions, not only for this tournament and our broadcast, but for the entire state. They are a big part of making a lot of these tournaments, the Open Championships and so forth possible, and Mike Alby's Arrowhead Bowl in Lafayette. So, again, thank you for tuning in this afternoon. We appreciate the time showcasing the top women in the state of Indiana here at the Indiana Queens from Championship Lanes in Anderson, Indiana. And it should be exciting. We can't wait to see who will win the 2022 championship.
Yeah, it's a long day for them, but getting the match play goes fast. I mean, especially you don't want to lose early.
Right. Yeah.
Not match play.
Yeah.
Then you're doing nothing but bowling all the way through.
Well, if you're Shelby New, you're just sitting back enjoying a little piece of lunch and.
Well, it's good. It's good and bad. I mean, it's almost like you'd like to have that momentum going in. Once you're done, you go right into it. That start and stop is always kind of difficult, but she's young and is confident with what she's got going, which cannot blame her with that first round. But
hey, look at this.
All's well.
Hey, I don't know if you can see, lunch is served, Nice little lunch here, and smells good. Can't wait to get involved in that. We're going to have
So we're going to go off air for what? No.
Yeah. Chad, you're going to have to cut this way. No. Yeah, we have, there's so much that goes on, and we're going to jump right into match play shortly after this qualifying squad is done, and you really don't have a whole lot of time. And by the time this is done tonight, we're going to want to pack up and get home.
Yep.
And, but hey, we love to be here. It's a privilege and an honor to be able to broadcast and obviously spend the afternoon with you. And look how nice we look here.
Yes.
Coolwick shirts.
Thank
See,
you.
look
Yep.
at that right there. Can't thank Coolwick for being the official apparel provider of Savage Bowling TV. And, hey, go to coolwick.com. You can dress like us. You can get your custom jerseys, polos, quarter zips, jackets, whatever you want, hoodies. And when you go to the checkout portion of the website to pay, put in that promo code Savage Bowling TV 10. That's Savage Bowling TV 10. And you'll save 10% off your order. And you'll thank us. And they'll know that you're coming from watching one of our live streams. And we appreciate the support. And we appreciate you watching this afternoon. And game number 3 getting ready to start. We have bowlers now jumping on lanes 3 and 4. So about time you get it off of us, Chad, because they're probably tired of looking at two old guys.
Wow. Both ladies starting with strikes here on lanes 3 and 4, which when you make the move from one end to the other and you can start with strike, you are ahead of the game for sure.
Right. The only thing we're missing, Chad, is a plate of them chocolate chip cookies, right? That would go great. I know Mike's been wanting some of those.
I'm working on it.
Well, hey.
We'll get some before the end of the day, I'm sure. After the Masters, though, we might have used up our quota.
Yeah, I was talking to Angie, and she said they went through I don't know how many cases of cookies at the Masters. Of course, when you have 430 entries, and then you talk about, family members, husband, wives, all those that are here watching, and children. It's a pretty packed house, and there's a great crowd here watching the ladies bowl in the 1 p.m. squad, too, as well.
People were eating those cookies for breakfast.
Hey, I don't blame them. Well, I tell you, Zach, Chad, he's putting a beating on to me on the chat room.
He is.
You better hope we don't show up Monday. We could really make you look bad, Zach.
It doesn't look like he's drilling your ball as much chatting as he's doing.
Yeah, no kidding.
Come on, Zach. More work, less play.
Absolutely. Yeah, but I can't thank Zach and Luke Mathis enough for drilling up my stuff, and I try to make them look good. Not all the time, but it gets harder when you get older.
Yes, it does.
The ball doesn't do the same things, right?
Yeah, it does not.
I
don't know why.
You don't have
it's not me, surely.
Yeah, I know. You don't have the flexibility in the wrist that you might have had. I've never been a high rev rate guy anyway, but it gets harder.
I don't know if it's a wrist for me. I think it's the whole body.
It was funny. Several people had asked me why I didn't sign up for the PTQ for the U.S. Open since it was in Indianapolis, and obviously I couldn't anyway because we had the Masters. But I'm like, even if I were to make it out of the PTQ, I couldn't bowl 3 days in a row, 8 games each. I couldn't do it physically. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Forget the mental part of it, where you're intense all that time and you try to concentrate. But yeah, the physical part of it, you start getting towards the end of that. I mean, you better be in shape because you can't. Because there are too many guys that are in shape and are able to dot the I's and cross the T's with their finish at the foul line and get the power. And if you mishit a couple, and they don't. Right.
Well, and I bowled a tournament in which I bowled 14 games in one day, and I paid for it for the next week. My shoulder was hurting, my legs were sore, my wrist was hurting. I mean, it's. Here's the thing that these guys.
Your wife said, "I don't want to hear it." Right?
Yeah. Go tell someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like a moaning dog in the corner.
Yeah.
But it's one thing that I don't think the guys on tour get enough credit for is how physically demanding this sport is on a day in and day out basis. I talked to E.J. Tackett before this squad started, and he said. We were talking about, bowling the Bradley Open, and he's like, I decided not to. He had to do a photo shoot for Fox. And he said, well, I thought about moving it, but he goes, you know what? I bowled 12 days in a row, and my body was starting to feel it a little bit, and I don't think people realize how hard it is, Mike, to bowl 8, 9 games a day and do that 3 or 4 or 5 days in a row.
Yeah, I mean, and your mental game is just as important because it's tough to reload that and be fresh mentally so you're making those good shots and making the right moves on the lane. But the physical part, it doesn't take much to alter your swing if you've got some thumb problems, a shoulder problem, the knee. If you're having to, adapt a little bit with pain coming and that, you're not going to have that free swing you need to have.
All right, we got, looking around who we got. We got Teresa Smith-Dill here on lanes 7 and 8 right in front of us. I believe a past champion of this tournament. I don't know if she's won 2, but I know she's won at least 1. You're starting to get into the point of the squad, Mike, where you're really... you're in it, or you're kind of out of it, and you'll kind of see the body language kind of dictate without even looking at the scores or who it is, right?
They're just trying to go through the motions, and it's hard not to. But what you really need to do in these situations, when you run into those where it's not going right, you're going to run into those situations again. So try to find a way to get out of it, and what do you need to do maybe next time? Always use it as, because you can't, I guess, recreate a tournament situation in practice. The mental part of it is very hard to duplicate. So, continue to use these opportunities to be able to make it feel comfortable next time you get in this situation. And Teresa, she's got her number one fan, Alex, back here after he got to bowl this morning. So out there at All-Star. So. I know she's always excited when he's able to watch her bowl.
Yeah, and a couple people asked her why she didn't bowl the first squad, and she says, hey, I'm staying home to watch my kid bowl.
Yeah, and he's an up-and-comer. He loves the sport.
Well, to be honest with you, when I was young and I first started bowling, I just couldn't get enough of it. And you could see that with a lot of young kids, and I
was too. Couldn't wait for my 3 games on Saturday.
Absolutely. And you got to feel very fortunate to bowl and have the success that you did in the sport professionally, and bowl really in what you would say would be the golden years of the PBA Tour.
Yeah, I mean, very fortunate, to come at the time when I did. I mean, there were so many bowling centers to choose from. Even when I was a kid, I mean, there was 30-some bowling centers in the Indianapolis area. So bowling teen travelers and got to bowl at a different center every Sunday, and compete against the kids from the other centers. And then back then we had AJBC and YBA. So you had 2 sets of tournaments, 2 city tournaments, 2 state tournaments. So there was a lot of things to bowl. And then on the tour, the ABC television was at its height for the Pro Bowlers Tour, and then ESPN comes in, and we had CBS even one year in the spring tour. So very, very fortunate to come through when I did, and like I said, being able to have the success that I had. But a lot of people have a hand in that, and very fortunate.
Yeah, we were talking about that in one of the chats, in one of the qualifying or one of the squads when our power went out.
Yes.
Remember that? And we were talking about all the number of centers that were in the state of Indiana and even in the Indianapolis surrounding areas. And it's amazing the number that were there that are no longer there. And one that I bowled in quite a bit because they always hosted tournaments was Sport Bowl. And, it's just amazing to see the number that are
The history that was in that one. I mean, Dick Weber was there, and the Brehabs, Charlie and Billy Brehab, and their father. And, Charlie Brehab goes on to be the president of the Bowling Proprietors Association. Sport Bowl was a big one to lose, and just a great place on the south side of Indy. And actually, I was just reading this morning, Chris Goddard, who's a former PBA bowler, bowl on tour in the 80s, and general manager of Narrows Plaza Bowl in Washington, the state of Washington, actually held the 1987 Seagram's U.S. Open for the first $100,000 prize fund, and they just announced they're closing on February 20th for good.
Oh, wow.
And sorry to hear, sorry to see, but it's making way for an apartment complex, and you know how that goes. The property becomes so valuable that you can't make enough in your business to.
And if I remember right, there was a historic center in Cincinnati, Ohio that held, I think the Hoinky used to be there.
The Hoinky Western Bowl, I believe, is still there, though.
Is it still there?
Yeah, I believe it's still there.
But there was talks about them closing, right?
Exactly. Yeah, they were. And the Hoinky, they used to have the Super Bowl Classic, and I think it was Super Bowl. It was one of those amateur tournaments that was very big. It's was held usually during Thanksgiving weekend. I forget how many entries. It was gigantic entries, but and the Hoinky family, great family, and great bowling. Irv Hoinky, who has since passed, but was a great proprietor and well not only well liked, but well respected in the industry. And we were fortunate in the Midwest. A lot of great centers that unfortunately are no longer around, but they definitely left their mark.
Well, I'm looking at scores right here after Game 1. Of course, the ladies are in Game 3, and they'll be updated. Game number 2 will be updated here shortly. But Teresa Smith-Dill, she's won twice, Mike, in 2004, 2012. She shot 269 Game 1. Faith Hall, who made a deep run, I believe, a couple of years ago in this tournament, she shot 258. Taylor Ellison, a Lafayette native, she shot 257. Jennifer Thompson, 252. Olivia Poor, 237. Jada Mokabi, who is on our pair on 7 and 8 right in front of us, she shot 237. Then the 2016 champion, Kimberly Woodall, shot 236. It's the same as Alexis Carter, but we saw Alexis struggle in the last game. I believe she only shot in the 180s or 190s. But
so the numbers seem to be, pretty similar then to the first round.
Yeah,
we just didn't see it down here.
Yeah, Michelle Russell, Ronnie's wife, she shot 225 Game 1. And so that kind of gives you scoring is similar. Michelle Irwin with 211, her first game. But right now, if we're looking at the cut to the top 16, is still plus 66, and there's 2 players tied for plus 66. And if that is the case, they'll have a 1-game roll-off before the match play portion would begin to determine the 7th or 16th seed. So. All right, we're going to wait until we get the updated standings. Mike and I are going to take a quick timeout, and we'll be back with more here as you guys continue to watch the 1 p.m. qualifying squad here at the Indiana Queens here from Championship Lanes in Anderson, Indiana. All right, welcome back here. I should say, welcome us back. We're wrapping up game 2, I believe, or maybe game 3, and moving into game 4. I do have standings after game 2. You can also go to the team app and find those standings too as well. I believe Chad shared a link in our chat page here on our live stream. So also make sure you go to that little icon on your bottom right, and the little arrow there says subscribe. Become a subscriber to Savage Bowling TV. We appreciate that, and we'll try to keep coming up with some content for you. And we do have another live stream this month, and we'll be at the PBA stop in Kokomo on Monday. So we'll have some posts there. And somebody's asking here, Mike, did you ever get intimidated by any bowler at all? They go on to say, when I bowled my first Pro-Am, first game I had Amleto, then Pete Weber, and last game Bob Learn. Sitting behind my lanes was Dick Weber. Were you ever intimidated by anybody when you bowled?
Yeah, I mean, I think you always have that. Earl Anthony was always one. You know, you watch all these guys on television, and all of a sudden you're out there with them. So, yeah, I think you always have that respect or that awe. But, once you start bowling, you just hopefully you get yourself, into what you're doing. And that's where I always try to work on that. But, yeah, I was always respected everyone. I didn't overlook anybody, especially on the tour. But probably Earl Anthony was probably the one just because I watched him so much on television.
Oh, okay, there you go. Let's see here. The top score so far in the squad is Faith Hall, 258, 246 for a 104 total. Next would be Starla Miller, who went 195, 279. Taylor Ellison plus 72. And then you drop all the way down to Michelle Russell at plus 63, but she's coming off a 225, 238 game, so a good start there. Katrina Sharp, who's actually already in 11th. She's bowling again. She's got plus 60 after 2. Tammy Marqua, plus 58. Teresa Smith-Dill, plus 52. She went 269, 183, but we do know she shot 224. So she's actually at plus 76 going into the last game. Jada Mokabi is plus 52 as well. Denise Pasquale, plus 49. Michelle Irwin rebounding to plus 48. Kayla Bird, plus 47. She shot 266 game 2, and she is on, her last game is on 3 and 4. We'll be able to watch a little bit of that here. Jennifer Thompson, plus 44. Olivia Poore, plus 43. Aaron Jones, plus 39. That's all the way down in 33rd spot, Mike, and I'm going to try to see if I can find any more here to give us kind of an idea. We'll try to look for some players you might be a little more familiar with. I still don't see Natalie Tackett. Yeah, Natalie Tackett all the way down to 64th place at minus 9. So she's got to go big here her last 2 games.
But not out of it, though. I mean, it's reachable for sure.
No, and she's probably thinking, she's got to shoot 230, 240, maybe even a little bit more than that in order to have a chance to get in.
Well, and it's tough. I mean, she comes in, wanting to bowl this morning, but weather kept her from getting here, and so you got to reload your mental game, and so sometimes it's not easy, doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. Where else do we have some players that you might be a little more familiar with? Angela Tackett. I believe that's EJ's mother. She is at minus 12, 208, 180 her first 2 games. It's amazing. Monica Hall Meals shoots 943 her first squad. She re-enters, and she's sitting at 178, 194 after 2. So you got to wonder, definitely playing maybe a little tougher in this squad maybe than in the previous one,
Possibly,
right?
Yeah. I mean, I think on this end we saw that, but then once we saw the scores come up, it looks like there are still some decent scores. But, you just wonder, Monica, if is that you're bowling the squad to learn a little more of what's going to happen and how they're different or changing. So, but we all want to shoot scores, so I think that she's probably just having a little trouble early.
Well, And Jenny Ferguson, she's only at -17 this squad. Other bowlers that trying to look around here. Jerica Gray, not off to. She went 197, 158, -45. She's in big trouble. And she shot, I believe she was like 20 over her first squad. Yeah, plus 29. So right now the number, Mike, is gone up a little bit. Not a lot. Plus 68 is in 16th place right now. So, and here's the thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bowlers are within 8 pins of that. That just shows you just how tight things are. And that's coming down to a fill bowl, right? A couple of fill bowls in a couple of games. If you get 6 or 7, I mean, that could dictate whether or not you make the cut or miss it.
Well, and the ones just outside of the 16th, are dead numbers, basically ones that are already finished from last squad. So there's about, I don't know, 8 or 9 here that are in the high 20s that are, coming north to try to get there to the top 16.
Yeah, we'll have
that's 2 games left.
Yeah, we'll have game 3, which they're already finished with. We'll have that coming up here pretty soon. But, boy, I'm looking over here on 3 and 4, Mike, and I see nothing but strikes. 7 shots thrown, 7 strikes.
Yeah, in the 4th game, so this is a game you need it. Starting out that way is great, especially after coming from the high end to the low end. We know there's a little bit of difference there, so it's a tough adjustment coming down, but they have certainly done that well.
I'm just going to look and see if I can find some of the players that are on our TV pair. Well, and right off to it, I mentioned to Kayla Bird, she's just on the outside of the cut right now. She's plus 47. She went 181, 266 her first 2 games. So obviously we'd love to know what she has after 3. And trying to find out Alexandra Ross's score here, but I don't see her. So she's not even in the top 100 players. So obviously not off to the start she was looking for here. So,
well, you wouldn't know that by the score of this game.
Yeah, I mean, she's got a chance to shoot 250 if she strikes out. Michelle Irwin there with a 210 split. Oh, my goodness. Kayla Bird with a pocket 810. Boy, that is just brutal when you throw one in the pocket.
Right there, and on a double to start the game and put it in there, and just a little too much ball speed, leaving the 8 and the 10. She throws it really well, though.
Yeah, and you kind of wonder maybe if she just kind of missed that at the bottom a little bit.
Yeah, maybe just didn't get that bite she needed on the back end, that drive.
Good spare there on the washout there on lane 3 off to your left. Here's another look at Miss Ross here on 5 and 6. And ooh, comes through the nose and leaves the 2, 4, 6, 7, 10. That is makeable.
Just need to slide that 3-pin across and take the 4 and the 7 out. But boy, she's got a great release, a lot of ball speed. That ball just really jumped on the back into the lane.
Well, we're not too far away from right now than finding out who's going to be our top 16. It's going to come down to the wire. And we're looking at scores after 2. They've already bowled 3, so we'll wait to see where we're at after 3 games. But, boy, a 220 or 30 game, that makes a huge difference, especially when you're sitting at plus high 40s or low 50s.
Yeah, if you're in close, yep. Could change the board a lot.
Boy, and you can really tell, too, Mike, how, like the ends of the center, we see our end of the house, we're down on the low end. It's a little bit cooler down here. It's amazing you get near from, how much even the kitchen or the bar will make a big difference. A little warmer down there, a little bit drier, a little bit more hook. It's amazing how temperature plays a huge factor.
Yeah, we're on the low end here, so, you got the door right here, and a lot of people coming and going through there, so it never seems to, you're always getting a little bit of a draft through here, so it's going to be a little cooler.
Right. Well, here's Michelle Russell on Lane 3 with the front 4. Oh,
Great
jinx.
shot. Great
Man.
shot. Solid 10.
And Brian Petrie, the commissioner of Indiana High School Bowling, chimes in here saying, seen a few Indiana flag jerseys. Wonder who got the ladies those. I don't know. I have a guess, Brian, you probably do.
I think we were just discussing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just making a comment, we'll be in Kokomo in 2 weeks for another high school event. Oh, great shot there by, I'm going to call her Ms. Roz.
Yeah, very good shot.
Yes, a lot of good roll on the ball. Strong roll. And she could strike out for 223, and it's amazing just how fast, when you have 3 people on a pair, how fast your game goes.
Yeah, it's tough sometimes. You get that going too quick, and you can't stop time. So you just got to take deep breaths and go at your pace.
Kayla Bird with another 10-pin off to your left here, and unfortunately, Michelle Russell missed the 10-pin in the 5th, so she has an open frame, and just can't give those single-pin spares away.
No, when you only have 4 games to bowl, yeah, it's just that's too many frames to waste.
Yeah. Over here on your right, on lane number 10, is Christy Schaefer, a former Lafayette bowler. And Michelle Irwin struggling a little bit here on 5 and 6, and she's gonna, if she misses a cut, Mike, she's at plus 71. She is on the borderline. If she misses a cut, she's going to look at that 150 game, her 4th game, and wonder what if.
Yeah, I probably could find a lot of pins in that 150 game. Just making better shots, or could be splits, could be missed spares, or a little bit of both.
And she gets the 4-pin conversion. And she started out with front 3 this game and opened in the 4th, and then split in the 7th. And, I was never one, to be honest. I never liked qualifying, I used to love the high roller when you paid your $1,100 or $1,200 and you bowled a match. I only had to beat one guy, right? And I never did like qualifying from that standpoint. And
yeah, there's some, it's interesting. Some players are, good qualifying bowlers. Some aren't. Some are good match play and not the other. So it's tough to do them. It's a totally different mental aspect between match play and qualifying.
Yeah, because in qualifying you're posting a score, and you know what you need to beat or whatever that may be. And I think we had the front 7 there with an open in the 8th, and that's on 11 and 12, right to our right of our TV pair on 9 and 10, and Michelle Russell with a strike. She doubles back after opening in the 5th with a strike in the 7th. And Alexander Ross there with another strike in the 10th. And she's going to be in the 220s with good pin count here. I don't know where that puts her because I don't see her after 2. So obviously she knows she needs or where she's at. But I've got to have a feeling, unless she shot an absolutely huge game, that she's in trouble. But there's some ladies sitting in the high 60s, low 70s as far as score is concerned. Probably a little nervous right now on what happens in this game right here.
Definitely on the bubble.
222 the score, and remember she left that 3, 4, 6, 7, 10 there in the 9th frame, I believe. And boy, if she could have thrown a good shot there, she could have been in the 250s. See, 222, 199 for Michelle Irwin.
Yeah, good save, a 3 1/10 by Michelle Irwin.
Well, Kayla Bird, after throwing the first 2 and then with that awful break of the 8-10 in the 3rd, kind of went 9 spare there for 3 frames in a row and struck now on the 8th or the 7th. And, oh, get out of there, Michelle. Now splits in the 8th frame with the 4-7-10. Kayla Bird with a nice shot off to our left on lane 3 with the double. Again, the TV pairs today, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Our championship pair today will be 9 and 10. Again, it's great to see the turnout this afternoon. A record number of entries for this year's Queens, 131 entries, I believe. And a great crowd here watching too, Mike.
Yeah, you can't even see a couple pairs down because it's so far back. Everybody's filling the concourse up, and a lot of support back there.
And I believe that was Angie Tackett with the front 7. Right now she's looking to pick up the 7-pin, and she does. She'll be in the 240s, Mike, with a good count here. She needs 8 to get to that number. Kayla Bird with another strike in the 9th. Off to our left. And you heard her yell on that one. She must be close, and she knows it.
She's got 234 left, I believe.
Well, she was plus 47 after 2.
Yeah, so 230 sounds like it might come in handy.
Sure would. Now Michelle Russell can strike out for 228. She was in 30, let's see, where was Michelle at? She was plus 63, Mike, after 2 games. So, what a break. Oh, she goes right through the face, and oh man, that is huge.
Yeah, when you get the 6-pin and the 10-pin just to lay straight back, that's the way to go.
Well, and I don't think her husband got any carry like that before. Of course, Ronnie, he'll take all the credit in the world for that one, won't he? Hey, what a great bowling family. Ronnie, Michelle, Caden. He's a phenomenal young player.
One of the best youth bowlers in the state.
Yeah, he'll be a senior next year at Noblesville. And that one creeps up high, and she's going to, with a spare here, I believe would be 216. And, if you add that to her score right now, that would put her at plus 79 if she shot just 200 game 3. And right now, that would get her in. I said 80 over was going to be somewhere around the cut. Boy, and I could be close. Kayla Bird, good scoring here, Mike, on 3 and 4.
Yeah, they've continued to. That's funny, a couple shots in the middle, but then, boy, the start and the finish have been great.
Yeah, we can have 220, 216, and then Kayla Bird can strike out for 234.
Well, if it gets to plus 80, then it's going to take only 9 people off the not only, but nine off the first squad would get in.
Well, that would be a pretty. That's a
balance. It's almost a perfect world, half and half, just a hair over that.
Boy, I bet you I don't know what her score was game 3, but boy, she'd probably love to have those 11 pins off that 5th frame when she missed the 10 pin. Yeah. Kayla Bird with just absolute blister of a shot on 3, just rips the rack.
She's done nothing but make good shots this game. Nothing but good shots.
Well, she had the unfortunate break of that 8-10 in the 3rd frame.
On a double. Yeah, on a double even.
And that's just one of those things that sometimes could just absolutely zap the momentum you've had, right?
Yeah, I mean, she come back with 3 spares after that, but boy, she's been in the pocket all the way through.
And Angie Tackett shot 242 over here to our right. Oh, and a beautiful shot for Kayla Bird off. She's off the screen. You don't see her, but a beautiful shot. She's going to be in the 230s with a good solid pin count here in her fill ball. Well, it's going to be real interesting to see where we're at score-wise here. And we don't have tallies after 3, but we're going to have to remember some of these scores, Mike. So we can – you got a good memory? You got the memory of an elephant?
I was going to say no.
Oh, my goodness. See if we can't get these. See where we're at here. Update. Nope. Well, we got B after 3 posted, Mike. So here we go. Faith Hall at plus 130 after 3.
Wow.
Starla Miller plus 112. Tammy Marqua plus 93. Kayla Bird plus 93. And add that to 34. She's going to be 127 over. She's comfortably in.
Yep.
Jennifer Thompson plus 90. Erin Jones is threatening to make the top 16. She's at plus 77. And right now, after 3 games, Mike, that's the number. Teresa Smith-Dill at plus 76. And she's the only one that's right there in that area that's got another game left here that hasn't been added in. So there's a chance for her to make a run here and get in that match play. Taylor Ellison at plus 67. She's only 10 pins out of that number. And, boy, Michelle Russell went 187 game 3. And she goes 216 plus 66. That's not going to be enough.
Yeah, that's close, though. I mean,
and
right there.
Boy, how big was that
miss
on the 10 pin?
Yeah.
That would have put her in the plus 70s, upper 70s. And that's probably going to put her – she needed really to strike out, Mike. 228 would have put her plus 78, which would have really threatened there. Michelle Irwin, she was only plus 40 after 3 in this squad, and she shot 199.
Yeah.
And she's just going to have to rest on that plus 71, and I don't think that's going to be enough to get in.
It doesn't look like it. You don't get too many people coming backwards here.
Yeah, Chelsea Kiefer at plus 44, Kimberly Woodall plus 45, and let's see some ladies that needed some big games here. Megan Gronendijk is at plus 29. Taylor Scholl plus 29. Katrina Sharp, who's already in right now, I believe. Katrina shot plus 77. That's going to be right there on that number, Mike. I'm guessing plus 77 to plus maybe low 80s. It all depends on, these ladies right here at plus 29 can shoot 257 and shoot a 250 game and they shoot them right up into that number. So Alexis Cox at plus 22. She's going to have a huge game in game number 4. So still don't see some Alexander Ross. Boy, she had a good third game, 248. She shot 222, but her start there at 181, 169 really did her in. She's going to finish with plus 20. She was right there on our TV pair. Boy, it's the tale of two squads. Monica Hall-Meals shoots 143 over in Squad 1, and right now she's sitting at plus 4 in this one.
I got better. Last game was 230, though. And she's currently clean with a double.
And what do golfers, PGA Tour golfers, always tell you, when they go in and shoot a round of like 61, 62, 63? What do they tell you? It's hard to follow that up the next day.
Yeah.
It's just hard to go back-to-back 8, 9 under rounds.
That's why you just take it one shot at a time. I mean, you can't try to – if you're trying to emulate, sometimes it plays on you mentally and you don't throw it cleanly like you should, and, you start talking yourself into things then.
A name we haven't seen yet, Mike, is Natalie Tackett. Tandis O'Neill is minus 19 after 3 with 202, 193, 186. She would have to really shoot a huge game. And there's Natalie Tackett, Mike, at minus 38. with 205, 186, 171. So obviously not going the direction they would like, and really kind of surprised because Natalie's a solid player. And usually this center likes left-handers. And so obviously there's a little more going on there, just some days you have it, some days you don't, right?
Yeah, we don't see a lot of lefties out there today. So, but, it just seemed like it was not quite what I would look at to be comfortable from watching the ball reaction. But
yeah, Stephanie Stogsdill at -45. Jennifer Pruitt at -48. So, and Jerica Heibel, that's her old name, Jerica Gray. Boy, I hope I don't get in trouble for that one. But Jordan might not be too happy. But she's -60. So really, it's feast or famine. You see a lot of big scores, but then again, you see a lot of ladies struggling.
Just never got lined up or comfortable enough. And once you have a game, or if you have two games that are sub 200, then it becomes, boy, now I've got to strike on these balls, and it just becomes more and more difficult with each shot.
Well, we got a player here that could shoot 218 on 9 and 10, but nobody else really doing a whole lot.
And that's Monica, I believe.
And I see a 210. I see 194. Just really surprisingly, not a lot of big games. You look at Angie Tucker's 242, and that's by far, outside of Kayla Bird, the biggest scorer in this area.
Yeah, our area here, we just did not see this. There's a few scores, but we didn't see the consistency like we had in the first round, I don't think.
And that's 10 lanes. That's 5 pairs, and you just don't see a whole lot. So Christy Schaefer here wrapping up her game with a flat 10 here. She only has 138 in the 9th. And
just 2 pairs left.
When you really want, I felt like, especially down here, I'm sure it's a little different on the high end of the house, but I feel like down here you really want the ball to start up a little bit earlier. That's Teresa Smith-Dill way down, still bowling. I see she threw a strike. She needed a good game here to give herself a chance, because she was, I believe, let's scroll up here. She was in 18th place, Mike, after 3 games at +76. So really, the ladies are scoring well. The ones that are bowling well, the scores are high.
Yeah, if she could shoot a low 2-10, she'll pass three scores from the other squad. So that's big. Yeah,
and right now when you're looking at it, Michelle Irwin at +71, she really struggled. Boy, you just look at that 150 finish, and she's thinking to herself, gosh, if she shoots 175, she's comfortably in. I mean, that 175 would have moved her up all the way to 10th place. I mean, that just shows you that.
And that's one of those situations where you get there and you don't know what – you're on the first squad, so you don't know what the other squad's going to do. So do you maybe take some chances you wouldn't normally take?
Yeah, absolutely. And so right now, 77 over is the number after 3 games. If there is a tie, we will have a 1-game roll-off to determine that 16th place before we begin match play. And there is a lot of congestion right in there. We do know this, that Kayla Burr shot 234 her last game, and that puts her at +127, which right now, that would put her in 5th place. So she really jumps up. I don't see in this total, I was going to look, Mike, to see where Angie Tackett was, because we know she shot 242 her last game. And I'm going, and she's not in the top 40, so the 242 game really isn't going to help her a whole lot. And, yeah, she was -34, Mike, so she's going to finish at +8. How many of these ladies would love to have that 242 game as a finish?
Yeah.
So,
that would have bumped about 10 or 12. That would have bumped the number a lot.
Yeah. Well, we're pretty much done with bowling on our end of the house. I think Teresa Smith-Dill is finishing up her game. She might be in the 9th or 10th frame, and she just left a flat 10. So
lot of 10 pins for Teresa today, at least just from what we've been able to see. She's always around the pocket, though.
Oh, looky there, Chad. Boy, did Angie. Oh, my goodness, Mike. There's something there for you.
I told you I was working on it.
I don't know. They aren't getting this way. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Oh, they're warm, too.
Angie. Oh, yeah, they're just out of the oven.
Yes.
Angie Collop, she's always treats us so well. And
she's one of the best, and she's won the award as the best, general manager in the state a few times. So she does a tremendous job here at Championship Lanes.
Boy, and notice where he set those, right in front of you.
Well, you notice they moved this way. I wasn't sure they were going to come this way. I wasn't sure they were going to get by.
I didn't think they were going to get by Chad. Yeah.
Well, 2 weekends ago they gave me a plate, and I think she thought I was going to share, but Scott was bowling that squad, so I ate all 3 cookies that she gave me.
Yeah.
And then he
felt disappointed.
He didn't even feel guilty about it either.
I can tell by the way he's telling now.
He brought she brought another plate for Scott.
And I had people drooling over my plate, and I had to share those with T.J. Schmidt.
Yeah.
I think it worked well because he ended up winning.
Yeah.
So I think that
might be it. Yeah.
That cookie really made a difference for him. And but if you've never been to Championship Lanes, it's a wonderful center, and the food and beverage here is great. And they make these, I think they're Otis Spunkmeyer cookies.
Yes.
If I'm correct. And they bake them fresh every day. And, boy, if you're down on the high end of the house by the bar, you can just.
It's a good buy.
The aroma.
It's a good buy.
Yeah, and you can't help but.
Well, they sell so many of them, they can't even keep up.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, here, let's just show the fans before Chad eats them all. But, see, here's what we got. Here's what we got. See, we got all of these right here. That's probably going to go all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to
nice
be careful.
pick of the shirt color, right?
Boy,
yeah, way to go on that.
Yeah, they smell wonderful. But yeah, these are fresh. So anyway, all the bowling has been completed, and we're hey, the problem is now if we take a break, they know what we're going to be doing. Right? We're going to be feeding our face.
You didn't think they knew that the last time?
You got to be smart about it, right? You got to be smart about it. But anyway, we appreciate you watching the Indiana Queens here on Savage Bowling TV. Scott Gilmore, Mike Albee, and Chad Lester here in our booth, and we hope you enjoyed qualifying. We're a few minutes probably away from finding out who our top 16 will be, and Mike, the women put on a heck of a show. There is some big scores.
Good scores, and it'll be interesting to see if it's a pair-to-pair thing or if everybody comes out lined up, and we could have some really high-scoring, good tight matches. It could be good.
Well, and the ladies never disappoint. The last couple of years here at the Queens have been absolutely fantastic. Drama all the way through. And one thing I do like about the pattern and the pace of play, I should say, or the scoring pace, is the ladies will be able to throw strikes. And if it's like it has been the last couple of years, especially when the new sisters bowled one another, and then Alexis Carter and the Shelby New match last year, a lot of strikes, and it seemed like every game came down to the 9th and 10th frame.
Yeah, I don't expect that to be any different today. And, this last squad bowled great, but Shelby New wasn't out there because she was sitting waiting in the wings. So, I can't vote against her. Yeah,
and we know one thing. Shelby New is in the top 16. She's right now the number 1 seed with a 970 score, and she shot 279, 256, 214, 221. So if you draw
Give me
her,
that right now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But one thing, Mike, is she made a point of it. She has struggled out of the gate in game number 1. The year I think she bowled her sister, she came out of the losers bracket. She lost her very first match and had to run the table through the losers bracket, and so she struggled out of the gate, but then she's finished strong, kind of like what Kevin McCune did when he won the Masters a couple of years ago. Kind of got into one bad pair that didn't match up, and then he just got on a run to win that championship. So we could see something similar again. If Shelby New has anything to do about it, she'll want to stay in that winner's bracket, right?
Well, we saw her. I talked to her a couple of weeks ago, and we were here for the Masters, and she was talking about how she's not bowling very good right now, but she was going to try to get it together, and whatever she did these last 2 weeks worked because she's got it together and she's at the top.
Well, they're tallying up scores. We'll have a cut score here shortly. If you want to find out up-to-date scoring, go on to the team app and click on the Indiana State USBC icon, and then you'll be able to go through scoring for all their tournaments and this year's Queens Championship. We'll be back here on Savage Bowling TV with the top 16 match play. We'll announce the matchups and who made the cut. So we appreciate you. Stick around for some more bowling action. You don't want to miss it here on Savage Bowling TV.